Again, my name is Garrett West, I work for appreciate the kind of all the information provided, but it's just overwhelmed with email address and who I contact our office, 605,000. What are you going to do? And will direct you to the legislator who you should be calling or writing to or email. So 605,000 is the easy way to take all this information and call that who can help you. That's it. No question.
If you have questions for anybody here on our panel, go ahead.
Rose, thank you for this panel. It was really well put on. I'm not here, but I don't have a question. I actually have a statement. I have to make an official statement. My boss told me to. My name is David Rivas. I'm the Senior Throwback and Policy Director for the North Cal Carpenters Union. We are here to stand in support of you guys to oppose this. I represent 38,000 members in Northern California, and the hundreds that live within this range of light monuments kill jobs. The construction jobs out there that are overlooked, that's in the sea, the dams, the rebuilds, the roads, the bridges, that is our work. We're here to stand and to say those who are online, who are watching, that we will spend time, money, and effort to support defeating this any way we can, because we have to protect those jobs, all those taxpayers, Americans that are live up there and work and pay and live every day depending on those jobs. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Great information. It's really super information. What we're seeing here is a movement by people in our country that want to promote Agenda 21. This is part of it. Okay? We have to stop it. Years ago, I logged up in that country. I took logs to your sawmill. After they closed down Paulberry and North Fork, I was forced to, we had to go south of them, and we went to yours. But half of my workforce was local Mono Indians. And you said earlier that they were in the mountains and stuff for a couple hundred years. They were there for thousands of years. Some of the older ones, I'm talking about in their 70s and 80s, told me stories about when they were kids and their parents took them to the forest in early spring. They spent all spring and all summer. In the fall, when they came out, their dads set the forest on fire behind them to burn the underbrush. And that was our forest management for years and years and years and years. We really don't know how long, but a tremendous amount of time. Yeah. We were chased out of the forest by the government. One of the first ones was the spotted owl. Well, I used to go back to check out closed landings, and I'd look up in the trees and there'd be spotted owl nests now. They weren't there before, because we couldn't log there if they were. But they were taking advantage of us opening up areas for them to hunt for their prey. And that's what the Indians did also. Made it easier for them to come back and hunt for their prey. They ate and stuff like that on it. We logged the bug-infested trees. And 1 year on the North Fork side, I took out 2.5 million trees, 4 feet of trees. They ran us out. So we lost all of that forest management. If you think Paradise was sad, what's happening now is going to be even worse. What we saw with the Creek Fire is from improper forest management. And that's a sign of what's going to happen here in the future. So we need to stop this and force those people that did vote for Trump to find a new life, that we have a life here, and we want to keep our people in the life.
been stomping around Camp Sierra since I was in diapers. I'm on the board, the site holders board there. Shameless plug, if you have a church and need a place to go, we are 60 acres of green forest in Big Creek Canyon. It's still there if you need a place to do group meetings. My question relates to people like myself who are in holders on Forest Service land. We are leaseholders for our family cabins. That's one thing that maybe the Congress people can get to their congressman and give us some information about that. Also, I'm a mining claim holder with a couple other partners, and we're going to be swallowed up by that up Kurt Rock Reservoir also. So, as well as all you other people, I'm an avid fisherman. I don't four-wheel except in my truck. I can't get to a lot of the high country places, but I love going up to White Bark Summit and looking out over the range of light in the high Sierras at all the places I used to backpack when I was a teenager. Covered that whole place from a lot of the John Muir Trail. So to get to places where you don't want to see people, you have to go a little bit farther and get up into the wilderness areas instead of creating wilderness areas where it's easy to get to. They're hard to get to for a reason, and we go there to get away from people.
A couple questions came up for me when you were speaking about the other monuments that are proposed in California. It seems very coordinated, but is it coordinated? I mean, my thought when I first came across Deanna Lynn Wolf's proposal like 8 years ago when it first came on my radar was, who does this woman think she is, and why can she speak for us? But is it a more coordinated effort with all these other monuments? Is she just a front person presenting this? And are there other front persons where it's being presented as something not the bigger picture? Because it seems to be very coordinated with all of their agendas. Is there one organization behind them? Is it all just a group of environmentalists? Is there an answer to that yet?
There's an answer, yeah, and I'll share some information, others may have some responses, but one of the big agendas behind all of this is Agenda 2030, which Biden actually codified it into law through the America the Beautiful Act, which was one of the first executive orders that he issued. It's an executive order he issued, so he didn't codify it, that's right. He signed an executive order during his first few days in presidency, and that funded and created the structure for conservation of 30% of America's lands and waters by 2030. And monuments are one of the big strategic puzzle pieces to achieve that 30% conservation goal. So when you're looking at, like we were showing those blocks of land like here with the wilderness, there's a purpose for that connectivity. When you're looking at Chuckwalla and Quashan and how it would come up from Mexico and connect the Joshua Tree National Park, and then that goes up further, it connects to Abiquahami and the Nevada border. All that connectivity is intentional to create these high concentrations of highly conserved land, which, like Mike said, is actually preserved land, not conserved. There's more to it. It's more than we can get into tonight, and I have some resources that we'll include in our follow-up that goes into a little bit more detail about that. But yes, there is. I don't know if Unite the Parks is aware of that intentionally, if they're knowingly part of that strategy, but there's a lot of different factions or groups that come together and collectively achieve this goal, and that's what's going on. Does anybody else want to make some comments about that?
Real quick, Brian. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Some of them are coordinated and some of them are less coordinated. I wouldn't say they're not in connection or in communication with each other. Range of light is sorry, but it's the demented nightmare of one woman. And she came up with that kind of on her own. It didn't mean that they're going back into what John Muir intended and all of that. But the other ones, the other smaller ones like Satipla, Chuckwalla, Quaison, as Rose said, those are connected, and it is a concerted effort. And I apologize for not remembering the group out of Colorado that is pushing a lot of these monuments, but I will get the information to Rose when I get back to my computer. And they are specifically pushing in different states for as many national monuments as they can get. And I met this gentleman at the 30 by 30 partnership meeting in Sacramento, where I live, and where a lot of these meetings take place, and he was very proud of it. So that's something to be very, very worried about.
My other question that came up is, I went through a period of time where I was disabled, and I could not walk for a year, pretty much. I was on crutches and had crutches in a wheelchair for about 6 months. Where is Americans with Disability Act on this? I mean, you are going to extremely limit people's access to the forest.
Could you please repeat that?
So, I have been in a wheelchair 3 times, counting. I'm lucky that I'm not right now, but due to great surgeons. I am, though, considered fully disabled. There's a moral and ethical obligation by all federal agencies, but the same that they have as far as non-developed areas, so we're talking about not campsites, not anywhere where there are restrooms, but non-developed areas, is that you can't put handrails in the forest. We have pursued it, though, through Corva. We did file a lawsuit against the Clovis National Forest Tribal Management Plan, and I believe we started in 2016 with Pacific Legal Foundation, and Butte County and Clovis County joined us in that lawsuit, and part of it was about disabled access. And we did not prevail, but we did get a lot more attention from the Forest Service after that. So this is an issue that I push constantly, because it really does affect me. I don't know, like you, I don't know when, my legs will go out again. It's very possible. So I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity. Going into the forest helped heal me. I had a picture of the Ducey Ocean Trail actually in my bedroom one of those times I was in a wheelchair, and I'd look at it and I'd go, okay, I'm going to get there again. And that helped me heal, literally. And because it's my favorite trail. Everybody deserves the right, especially if you're disabled, to have the healing properties of going out into public land. So right now, from all the different attorneys that I've spoken to, and we've spoken to quite a few, there's just no precedent for disabled access in non-developed areas, but it doesn't mean we're going to stop trying. Thank you.
And I want to add one thing to that. So we ran into the same problem with Blue Ribbon Coalition, where we had sued on the Black Sands Beach BLM plan, and the same thing. It was about disability access, and we didn't win in court. And so I took that issue back to DC and briefed Senator Lee's office on it. And after learning about that process and the deficiencies that exist in the law around that issue, in August of this year, he introduced the Outdoor Americans with Disabilities Act. And this would require our federal land management agencies to analyze the impacts of their plans on disability access and keep a certain level of road density on our public lands, or they would be discriminatory. And so this would fix it. It would give us cause of action to actually require them to keep these plans.
Thank you.
First of all, my name is Lloyd. I'm a retired CAL FIRE employee, and so I worked with the government and saw how they were working with us or against us. As far as people that own the property up in the Sierra Nevadas, like ranches, meadows, houses, the Yosemite was taken over by Teddy Roosevelt, made that into a park. There was already existing cabins, houses, ranches, and meadows existing, and somehow a fire went through there, and it just so happens the cabins that were in there burned. And guess what? The government said, we're not going to take that land, but we're not going to give you a permit to rebuild your cabins and your fences and your properties. So if there's nothing to land on, you just have a camp trailer. And those people use the camp trailers to do that thinking. And now they want to take our camp trailers away from us and not let us go up there and even stay in the camp trailer. The other thing I was involved with was the creek fire. And I'm not going to say what started it, but I think it was the cops. And so that just got quieted down real quick in the government, looking into the fire danger. And I actually pulled up the green sheet, and that means that's what happens, the people put their paperwork down. And, they look like one of our government documents where they took the felt pen, and this was shit, this is what they give to the people. It looked like a paper just blacked out. And no names, just numbers. People that were investigated were numbers, there were only 2, and they just said it was too dangerous to go down there. The other thing I was going to say is I got caught up in that, and I didn't know it was deer season in the camps. The Sierra Nevadas were shut. We're going up to Wishawn, Courtright, Chevrolet, and they had a big sign that said, "Do not enter," because there might be another fire, and we ain't going to be able to put it out. And so I went ahead and went in there, and a couple hours later, here come the U.S. Ranger cop, and I got a ticket. And the ticket was $100 for trespassing, and the thing that really got me, it cost me $25 more to process my check. In other words, to give them my fine. They don't even do their own processing of the payment. And so I started writing letters, because they were closing this out. And I actually brought up some documents from you want to talk about old school. I brought up some documents that were 1860s, that if you think we got it bad, the government rounded up all the Indians and put them in a little spot called a reservation. And those are all up and down the coast and the Sierra Nevadas. And I found these documents that said in 1860, the U.S. government said we're going to put you in this little postage stamp, but you'll still be able to go, and this is where I'm going with the story, you'll still be able to go up and hunt, fish, gather, whatever you need, but you still live in this postage stamp, but we allow access. Now there's the word right there that we need to jump on. And I've actually sent that to the Sacramento Indian Affairs, the Washington, D.C. Indian Affairs, and about 2 days later, they reopened the forest for us for deer season that year. I'm not trying to get a pat on the back, but after that, they kind of came to my house and gave me a lot of shit. So if there's any G in here, my name is John Smith, and I want to thank you all.
Hello, my name is Matthew Munoz. I'm the Tribal Council Secretary for Big Sandy Rancheria. And yeah, we have a couple concerns with this project. First of all, my tribe, first major concern is this Deanna Wolf. She never formally addressed us with a request for consultation, and as a federally recognized tribe, that's the law. So that's already number one. She reached out to my chair this week, and their deadline's the 20th, so, usually it's months in advance you request a meeting with the tribe will get back to you, but they're trying to rush this process just like everything else, so that's the number one concern, that there was no federally request for any kind of consultation with our tribe, and we are located, if you don't know, with Big Sandy Rancheria, right in Auburn, California, that's right on the map right there. So yeah, we were never had a request for a consultation, and so that's one of my tribe's concerns. And we just find it very disrespectful. Being the first people of the nation did not have any consultation whatsoever. So that was a huge major concern with us, and like I said, that's already violating the federal law itself. Secondly, we are original stewards of the land, so everything the whole panel said, we agree. We know we've been here for thousands of years. We know the stewardship of how to actually properly manage the land, properly go about logging, go about hunting. We're all for that as well. Completing our watersheds, not making any more dams, because you can't fill a dam if you don't have the watersheds to fill it with, right? So doing cultural burns,
bringing that back, and we are working with the United States Forest Service right now and having agreements with those agencies, and those are years and years and years of working with a federal agency. And for this other agency just to come in out of the blue, what's that mean for all those years of working? What do those mean for those MOUs, those agreements that we have with the Forest Service now? And it's not easy working with another, federal agency, working with a tribe and another federal agency, which is us. It's not easy having those agreements and going through all those years of work and having my ancestors and everyone before me on their council go through those trials and tribulations to come to this point of view where we're actually working with the Forest Service and we're working through the forest now, and then have that all taken away and start from ground zero. So that's another major concern. And then, so just dealing with all that, all these unknowns of transparency of transition between the agencies, playing the devil's advocate if they do switch over, we can't support that. So I stand here opposing the range of light monument on behalf of Base Standard Rancheria.
So let's make sure that we connect, if you don't mind.
Well, Matt said most of what I was going to say. Good evening. My name is Fred Bean, North Fork Ranch Area Tribal Chairman. I want to say thank you to Rose. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to all the people here tonight. I don't really have any questions. I just have some comments also. So a lot of people have been up in those mountains for thousands of years, hunting, gathering, spiritual, just living their lives. They cultivated, these mountains. Our tribe has written a letter to President Biden and also to President-elect Trump. We're sending it off. We've had meetings locally with some of the other tribes. Many of the tribes are opposing. North Fork Ranch area is absolutely opposing. Like I said, I was raised in those mountains, fishing, hunting, riding dirt bikes, rock climbing trees, water skiing, snow skiing. I want to see my kids, my grandkids, all do the same. The recreation is there. It should always be there. I thought the analogy of the garden was amazing. That was perfect. Growing up, my grandmother had a huge garden that we had to work every day, all day, but we got fruits of the garden. And I say that's a good analogy because that's just like that forest, right? It has to be cultivated. When you leave the garden, it's going to grow a lot of weeds. You got to pull the weeds, but you also got to pick the fruit, right? And so those mountains, they have to be logged. They have to be cultivated. It's just part of the whole natural evolution of everything up there. It's just the way it is. And so I just wanted to touch too on the fires, right? I was a victim of the fire. I lost my place. The Creek Fire was a huge footprint. Devastation like we haven't seen before, right? Well, this is going to bring devastation to our economies, to our public lives, to the businesses. Right away, when we start talking about these forest things, right away people start thinking logging. But this is so far-reaching. This is recreational. This is not just the sporting goods. This is the grocery stores, the hardware stores. This is everything. Everybody that lives up there, they share their lives. I work for Southern Cal Edison on the hydroelectric project, so it even affects all of that, right? Every business up in those mountains, every house, every community. So it's something that we all have to join together. I'm glad to see everybody here tonight because it was mentioned earlier, this is how we get stuff done. We join together, we all have a common goal. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's here tonight for joining together in a common goal of doing this. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Troy Patton. I'm Vice President of Sussex Land for Backcountry Horses of California. I don't have a question. I just wanted to bring forth a little information. Like the Stewards of the Sierra, Backcountry Horseman is an all-volunteer service group that does trail work throughout the state of California. We work with the Forest My biggest complaint about it is the way they did it. They are they're taking advantage of the Antiquities Act, which, as you all stated, is to protect the area. It's to be as small as possible. So I was told that the growth of the sequoias was right at 27,000 acres with a buffer zone, small buffer. So why did Bill Clinton need 325,000 acres? You mentioned the Escalon and the pair of years. While Obama was flying over it, somebody in his party said, well, you need to make it bigger, so he did. All of the stuff was okay. And it was something that Donald Trump contested that Joe Biden took away again. And I hope he follows through with that. By the way, I want to trade cards with you, several of you out there tonight. But thank you for your time.
And just want to mention, we have this auditorium at our disposal until 9 p.m. So if you do have a question or something you want to share, we don't want to miss anybody. But now will be the time. We'll have to wrap up in about 9 to 10 minutes.
I'll be quick then. I'm Amber Friend. I live in Prager, which is kind of the very edge of this. But I have 3 kids that are Boy Scouts. So we go together a lot. I know lots of farmers and ranchers. I know a lot of the ranchers that ride cattle up there. I live off of 168. We have a lot of accidents, and I'm not sure if any of that has been taken into consideration when this is being, they're saying 2.7 million people through there. 168 cannot handle that. A lot more people will die. And I'm not saying this lighthearted. We have people dying all the time on 168. So if they're trying to shove that many people up, and we don't have hotels that can accommodate that. We do not have the infrastructure, we don't have the roads, the hotels, the places to eat. Enough parking for that many people. So people would be driving up 168 to 41. All these roads that are more of what we're using, for us in our backyard, they're now going to have a lot more people that are going up and have to turn around and come back down in one day because there's no place for them to stay. So that's going to make commutes. If you're commuting up and you work at China Peak, your commute's going to be way worse. Or for those of us that live in the foothills that have to come down here to work, again, way worse. I don't know if any of that has been taken into consideration. Like I said, there's already a lot of accidents and a lot of deaths that are occurring on these roads. They're not designed to have that much traffic. It's really going to hurt the outlying communities and here. Even if you live in the city, it's going to impact you as well. Not to mention the family and the impact it's going to have on the generations to come. Because if we can't get our Boy Scouts, which that's what they do, is go out and they clear some of those paths and trails, they camp, and they learn how to conserve with use. If we take that away from our own, again, we're one generation losing it. So we need to fight for it.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Van and I represent Camp Redwood Improvement Association. And we have had our camp since 1918. In the 50s, we got special use permits. We hold water permits. And I'd like to know, in a national monument, what happens to water permits? And does the Madera Irrigation District know that their permits could be in risk?
I can answer that. Typically, a monument has not affected water rights because those are administered by state policy that are signatories in California. But what we saw in Bears Ears, in their latest monument management plan, they declared an area of environmental critical concern of the whole 1.3 million acres of Bears Ears for the aquifer underneath the monument in the groundwater. So they use the Antiquities Act as a tool to give the BLM jurisdiction for really like the first time ever
Yeah.
over underground water resources, which have typically been state level policy that manages all of that, which is just shocking that they did that. But so they really see no limits to this. I was in the courtroom. They think it covers every inch and every drop of water, and there's no defining limit of the Antiquities Act. Smallest area compatible means planet Earth and probably the moon. This is beautiful.
That's a huge amount of water that goes down into the valley. It goes from Milner Creek to President River, down into the valley for farmers. So that might be something you want to bring up there. The other thing is, since we've had our camp for over 100 years, we've been working with the Forest Service to preserve it as a not a national monument, but as a historical spot. And so for someone else to come and say that they want to take that away from us, when we've been working for over 100 years for maintaining this, we pay a fee to the Forest Service, we pay Madera County taxes. I mean, like, my great-grandfather spent his life there, my grandpa spent her life there, my mom spent her life there, I spent my life there, and my children have spent their life there. That's historical. Thank you.
Good evening. I want to thank all the panelists for being here. I hope I have an opportunity to interview every one of you on my podcast. I'm here representing Constitutionalists for California. My name is Eric Robbins. I see this problem as part of a larger problem. Government overreach is happening continually. Because it's continually happening, one of the solutions, though, is to learn about the Constitution, know our rights, and elect people that want small government. How many people in this audience regularly attend your city council meeting or your board of supervisors meeting? I know Austin. I have the board of supervisors because that's where my podcast is, but I've been over 25 times in the last 2 years. My point is, here we're blessed. We live in the greatest country in the world. That's right. But we don't seem to understand that we still have a civic responsibility. And that civic responsibility requires us to be part of the solution. Government should not be making all the decisions for us. Government should be listening to us, getting our input, because this is a nation founded with the idea of by, for, and of the people. Get involved, folks. We need to make a difference.
Well, I want to thank the panel for everything that you gave us, some information-wise. But, my name is Mark Reed. I grew up in the mountains. I grew up fishing, hunting, riding horses, four-wheel driving, doing all the fun things that you can think of on our public lands. I raised my children to do the same thing. I have 11 grandchildren, believe it or not, 10 of them are granddaughters, and they still hunt, they ride, they shoot, they do everything that I do. So something that's not being touched, we're talking all the financial aspects of it, but the foundation of this nation is our families. Healthy forests grow healthy families. Healthy families grow healthy communities. Healthy communities maintain healthy forests. Politicians are the termites in our forests. Every single politician, because every single one of them position themselves for a political gain. I'm against the National Forest Monument because my constituents live here. But this has been going on for 8 years now. This Ms. Wolf lady has been pushing this for a long time. Nathan Natzig has been fighting this for quite a long time. He's been at the forefront. Tim Long has been in the forefront for a long time. It's not just financial. This is our community. This is our families. This is our children. This is our next generations. And the proof of that, from your perspective looking out here, there was a lot of snow-capped, two-legged animals out here. And the snow-capped individuals have raised their families. They know what they're losing. It's not just the forest. It's the foundation of this nation. Simple, simple, simple. Fight for the foundation of this nation, which is our families. Thank you.
My name is Ed Buck. I'm from Clovis, California. That gentleman, I'm going to segue right into that. First off, thank you to all the panel. It's Brett or Brent? Ben. Ben. I was close. So what he just said, our families, you're the law guy. You're the one that has access to it. I was in yoga last night, and I've been thinking about this for the last 3 months when I saw this lady on Madison's Facebook page. I've raised my kids up at Mono Hot Springs, Edison Lake. Since they were in diapers, I would take them up there. Now my grandkids, everything this gentleman just said. I hunt, I fish, I hike, I four-wheel drive. This is in our bones. This is in our blood. Everyone in this room. Everyone in this room. This is our culture. So with that, let's all identify, so we can use that word identify in a lawsuit. It can't take away our identity.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
everyone knows everyone knows where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
How we identify is with those mountains. So let's have an identity lawsuit. They can't take that away from us. That's our identity. And with that said, thank you everyone for coming.
Yes, my name is Ken Bowman. I appreciate your time that you've given us. I appreciate all the testimonies, all the comments, heartfelt, important. It boils down to what can we do? And the answer is we've got to start writing letters and making phone calls. I'm not going to do that kind of stuff, but I'm going to. I see this Powell organization, they've got stuff there. We need to get off our butts and start being active. Who's going to decide our future, us or them? We have a chance to put input into it. These meetings are great. They reveal a lot of options and stuff they have. If you just go home and turn on the TV, you've wasted your time. Go home, get on the website, write a letter, make a phone call. I have heard my entire life how just a few letters or phone calls affect politicians. And I think that's true. I know a few politicians. I've interviewed Bob McCauley with the grand jury last year. I know Jim Patterson, my wife knows his wife. But you know what? Unless we convey, they can't read our minds. So unless we convey to them what we want done with our country and our policies, they don't know. So they're taking whatever they get. Get off your bottoms, get up and write some in letters, sign some petitions, make some phone calls.
Thank you. My name is Jeff. I'm president of the Athlete Homeowners Association. Just was there 400 strong. We have a letter ready that we send out to our members that they can forward to President Biden. They can craft it if they want to change it, and it does come with rules and analysis. My question, though, our concern is we do have property owners that either lease land from the forest or they own, or they have businesses. I've spoken to them. And of course, she reassures us that there will be no change in that. I was just wondering what your experience was on this.